2 days in a row, Calumet College, room 200. So 2 good crowds 2 days in a row. So thanks for coming out for Mayor's Night Out, everybody. Today's Mayor's Night Out in the 1st District, and it's traditional for us to always start off our meeting introducing the 1st District Councilman and let him give his report. So let's give it up for Councilman Mark Kowinski.
Good evening. And I'll echo the mayor's words. Welcome back. See a lot of familiar faces that were here last night. It's good to see you again. It's about as warm in here today as it was last night, too. So welcome. Just a couple quick announcements. As you know, some of you, the bathrooms are down the hall and to the right. Just as you clear the double doors, you'll see washrooms for men and women. And quick announcements about upcoming meetings. The Whiting-Robertsdale Crime Watch meets in this room typically the 2nd Thursday of the month, and that'll be on Thursday, May 14 at 6:30 in this room. And also at the other end of the district, the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association has its monthly meeting on Tuesday, May 26th at 6:30. And all people are welcome to those meetings, whether you're from the district, whether you're from one end of the district or the other, or from across town. And now, let's get on with our Mayor's Night Out with Mayor Tom McDermott.
Thank you, Councilman. We're going to go ahead, and do you want to introduce the department heads, or do you want to go into the programs before? Okay, we'll go ahead and start off introducing the department heads that are here. First off, I'd like to introduce Leanne Munoz, the Special Events Coordinator for the city. And we'll go ahead and start with our department heads. Okay.
Kelly Curry, Code Enforcement.
Jim Callahan, Inspections Department.
Owana Miller, Community Development.
Johnny Perez, Public Works.
Jack Smith, Sewer Maintenance. Marty Wolgas, Hammond Sanitary District.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ron Novak, Environmental Management.
Stan Dostotny, City Engineer.
Mark McLaughlin, Chief of Staff. Phil Talon, Planning and Development.
Mylon Krasinski, Port Authority.
Kurt Cook, Building.
Africa Tarver, Economic Development.
Chris Sakalaris, Legal Aid.
Carmen Paniagua, Housing Authority.
John Doty, Hammond Police Department.
Chris Campbell, Information Technology.
Jeff Smith, Fire Department. Ed Cruza, Water.
Sharon Daniels, Personnel. Heather Gray, City Controller.
Jason Donovan, Public Works.
Donna Muda, Parks and Recreation.
Chris Cantor, Law Department.
Gabby Gallegos, College Staff. Leanne Munoz, Parks.
Okay. There's so many we wrap around into the front row. So we're starting off today with 2 special programs, and we're going to cover them quickly because we do have a lot of questions and a large audience. But we have some special guests here, and they wanted recognition, and we usually do it at the beginning. So first, I'd like to call Mr. Wayne Snyder forward and Josh Long. Wayne is the husband of a former Hammond principal. She worked for the School City Hammond, Nancy Snyder. And Josh Long, who's the director of the Hammond Education Foundation. How you doing, Wayne? This is about a blood drive that we have. It's a challenge between, come on up, guys. It's a challenge between the City of Hobart and the City of Hammond on Tuesday, May 12th from 1 to 7 p.m. at the Gene Shepherd Community Center. Wayne, you want to come over here? And you can go ahead and give a little quick update. How you doing, sir? Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Wayne Snyder. I'd like to introduce Trish Cochran with the American Red Cross. And with our school city, Josh Long, he is our new, what's your title exactly? Executive Director of the Hammond Education Foundation. And then what we have is, my wife passed away of brain cancer a year ago. She was a 25-year employee of Hammond. Very proud of Hammond. She was a Kiwanis president, vice president, and did everything she could. We always said this was her second home, even though when I was raised here and graduated from Hammond-Gavitt, as my 2 oldest kids were too. When my wife passed away, there was a few things she wanted me to do. One was take care of the city of Hammond, the school district, the elementary level, which she was the principal at 3 different schools and the Title I director also. She wanted me to take care of the city, the community. And same with Hobart, with us both living in Hobart, her all of her life, me for the last 40 years. So needless to say, we did a few things and made a few donations, had a few different fundraisers, and things just really went fantastic. The outpouring of everybody that loved Nancy. So a few people said, you know, Wayne, you've raised money for years, for booster clubs, for unions, for politicians, for everybody. You need to do it for your wife. So we started the Nancy Snyder Memorial Fund 11 months ago. As of this date, we have distributed $52,000 between Hammond and Hobart. We are so proud. Last Saturday at the 911 Slugfest, we were able to donate $8,000 to with Jack and Karen Callahan. A great job that they did, and the city put on $8,000 from the Memorial Fund to fund one child with brain cancer for Make-A-Wish, and we hopefully can do that every single year. I want to make sure I introduce Leanne also, is also working with Josh over here in Hammond. We're working in Hobart. What we're doing is people kept asking me, what are you going to do in May, the anniversary of your wife's passing? Well, we decided to have a blood drive in Hobart. One night I was out with Mayor Brian Snedeker and one of our past mayors, and they kept saying, what can we do to help out? So I said, I've got an idea. Since we do everything between Hammond and Hobart, and I know this guy's competitiveness, I said, why don't you challenge Mayor McDermott and the city of Hammond to a blood drive? So, needless to say, the call was made. He couldn't accept it fast enough. He made sure we realized that Hammond is much bigger than Hobart. So I don't think we're getting any type of handicap here, but then the two school superintendents heard about it. So the school superintendent, Peggy Buffington, got a hold of Dr. Watkins, and now we have the two schools have challenged each other. So on May 11th in Hobart, we will have our first annual Nancy Snyder Memorial Fund Blood Drive Challenge. And this will be every year from here on in. We're looking to get at least 100 pints in each city. We do have a traveling trophy, which will go to the winning school and city. We're really happy to say, as of last night, the St. Mary's Hospital in Hobart has come on board and are trying to get all their employees to sign up. I did talk to Dean Diamond, our new CEO here at St. Margaret's. I think as of tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, we'll have St. Margaret's on board too. So we're really excited. I can't thank the mayor enough, Leanne for working with Josh, and right now I'd like to introduce Trish so she can give you a few updates.
Thank you, and I would just like to say how honored we were at the Red Cross to receive this call and get this opportunity to be part of this challenge. I know that Wayne mentioned the date in Hobart, and I'm sure you all want to know the date in Hammond. So the blood drive in Hammond is the following day, Tuesday, May 12th, from 1 to 7 p.m. at the Gene Shepherd Community Center. There are several ways to sign up. You can call 1-800-RED Cross. You can go online. And there's also a sign-up sheet right at the back of the room tonight. We encourage you to consider donating. Just one donation, just 1 hour of your time, can go to help save up to 3 patients. So with the challenge, we're looking at saving literally hundreds of lives with this friendly challenge that really is two communities loved so greatly and served by Nancy for so many years coming together in her honor. So we're proud to be part of it, and thank you, City of Hammond, for rolling up your sleeves. Yes, 1 to 7 p.m., Tuesday, May 12th, at the Gene Shepherd Community Center. Thank you.
And we do have posters, we have sign-in sheets, we have flyers. Leanne has them going throughout the city. We have some in the back also. There are a couple of the trifolds that explain what we're all about. When we started the Memorial Fund, we have a committee of 23 people between Hammond and Hobart, and we're proud to say that it supports not only education, community, and a cure for cancer, for brain cancer. So we have one more thing we'd like to do, and Mayor, if we could ask you to please step out by us. I'd like to present this to the mayor tonight. Again, I've known Tom for a long time. I've known his father longer. He was always a good friend to Nancy and the schools. So, proud supporter of the Nancy Snyder Memorial Fund, first annual Nancy Snyder Memorial Challenge, Hobart vs. Hammond, Red Cross Blood Drive Challenge, Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr., Hammond, Indiana. Thank you for your support, and May, good luck. I just throw one more thing out there. Hobart is in the lead right now, Hammond.
And it was mentioned that this was a friendly challenge. Not with me, okay? Hammond is twice as big as Hobart. And I want to also point out Mayor Snedeker has a lot of time on his hands. He's uncontested for the entire year right now. So we got a little distraction until next Tuesday, but I know we're going to rally. So thank you guys for coming out. Please sign up and support a great cause. May 12th from 1 to 7 p.m. at the Gene Shepherd Community Center, blood drive, Hammond versus Hobart, for a great cause. Nancy was a wonderful woman. We miss her a lot. So, and she affected literally hundreds of Hammond school children. So thank you again, Wayne. It's great to see you. Next, I'd like to call up John Rayson, the football coach from Northlake Pop Warner. Wants to introduce, and let's give him a big round of applause. Sir, you're going to bring up your team also? Nice to see you, sir. Coach?
Hello. Yes. My name is John Rayson. I'm a football coach with Northlake Pop Warner. We're your local Pop Warner football organization. Today I'm really proud to announce something above and beyond sports, and that is...
Come on out, guys.
I have 7 kids, members of our organization, that are being recognized for their scholastic achievement. These fine young men are the top 2% with their grades and civic things that they do with the town or the church or anything outside of sports. They're in the top 2% out of 350,000 children across the United States in Pop Warner football. This has never been accomplished through Pop Warner in the Hammond organization, and I'm so proud of these guys. They have buckled down and done their schoolwork, as well as winning a state championship this year, defeating Hobart. I got a segue with that. You're very welcome. Mike Curtis, our president, Michelle Rayson, our vice president. They were instrumental in focusing on scholastics above sports. Although we are a sports organization, we are the only organization I'm aware of in the United States that focuses so heavily on scholastics. Anyway, so I would like to mention their names. This is Dwayne Johnson, Dewan Player, Ali Garcia Curtis, Darrell, Zane Rayson. I'm exceptionally proud of my son. Now, this is unprecedented here. Last year we had 1 child make it to this level, and we were prepared as an organization to assist with that. We did not expect this much improvement in our kids, and our difficulty is the award there will be honored for us in San Diego, California. And getting 7 kids to San Diego, California is above our budget, so we have been reaching out to the community. We have had some generosity, and we're probably halfway there. Memorial Day weekend, the 22nd and 23rd of May, is when they're expected to be in San Diego, California. We have a website. We're asking for any help. It's 510. Any help is getting them closer to being there. Mike, would you like to say something?
I'm exceptionally proud of these kids. As John has mentioned, we are state champions in football and we're regional champions in cheer. But it was my biggest accomplishment when we had the 7 All-American scholars, because, like you said, in Hammond, in this area, it was never done before. We used to not having none presented. We went last year, we only had 1. This year we had 7. Hopefully next year we'll be in the double digits, close to 20. I'm so proud of all of these kids. They not only focus on football, they focus in the classrooms, and that's what football and sports is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about a learning lesson, teaching life lessons. They not only does that, they help out in the communities, and that's how another way that they got recognized nationally. Because other than that, they would have just been honorable mentions. If you do well in community as well as in school, that's how Pop Warner recognizes you. And we're just so proud of our kids.
My name is Michelle. I am the Scholastics manager and of course and the vice president. And yes, we are very proud of these young men. One thing I don't think John emphasizes, we are the 2014 state and league junior Pee Wee football champions. Out of 21 teams, we took it all. So half of these guys up here are state champions.
Thank you, guys. Let's give it up for the kids, everybody, and help them raise money. They look like Pop Warner Group, the Patriots. Great job, you guys. Good to see you, Coach. Thank you. Thank you. I could tell you from experience, my son Tommy played for the Patriots, and they require, just as much as going to practice, they require you to turn in your report cards. And I always thought that was a really cool thing. You don't see that in baseball. I've been coaching baseball for most of my life. You don't see that in other sports. You see it in North Lake Pop Warner. So congratulations to the Patriots. One more time, everybody. Thank you. We have a lot of questions. So some people wrote down like 15 questions on their sheet. I mean, we're going to be here till 10 o'clock for the second night in a row if we do that. So what we're going to do on some of them is we're going to ask you to prioritize which questions are the most important, because we do want to get through as many questions as possible. Some of the questions are related, so we're going to group them together. We're going to do our best to get out of here on time. So we had to start moving. All right, Leanne?
The first question is for engineering. When will 3 blocks of West Park Avenue be getting new lampposts, streetlights, curbs, sidewalks?
Is that on the list? Is that being constructed currently? Okay.
It's designed. We just haven't been able to come up with money
We
yet
need a microphone.
to actually do the construction.
It's designed. It's still waiting
It's
for.
designed, yeah, from 119th through 122nd.
Right. It's just this year was a tough year financially, so.
Yeah, it's about, well, these numbers are probably a couple years old. It's about $850,000.
Oh, yeah. To give you an idea, in the entire first district, the councilmen in all 6 districts had $500,000 to spend this year. I, across the entire city, had $500,000 to spend, and it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but when you're talking about doing a street, like Stan said, that one stretch alone is $850,000. So next year, we're going to be a little bit more liquid and be able to do more projects. So, Councilman, do you want to address that, or?
West Park's been on the...
Is that loud enough? It seems like it's really low.
Can you hear me? West Park's on the list. There are probably near a dozen streets on the list. However, about a dozen years ago when I first started in office, reconstructing one block ran about $350,000 to $400,000. That's total reconstruction, like so many streets are used to. That's work underground, that's lighting, curbs, trees, sidewalks. Now, they run about $600,000 to $650,000 per block to do. So it's almost double the cost of reconstructing a street from a dozen years ago. And we have a lot of streets in bad shape. We have the most miles of streets of all the districts. And I understand the concern by so many of the residents. There's just not enough money to do them all right now. What we might be looking at this year, as we're looking at what are possible projects, we might be resurfacing some of the streets to buy some time till we become a little more liquid so we can hit some of these projects and get these things done.
The fact that it's engineered is good news, though. I mean,
exactly.
We're one step away from finishing it.
The cost will be adjusted again, though.
Right.
That's a few years old. So that's where we're at right now regarding street reconstruction. We'll probably be doing overlays for this year and sidewalks where needed and alley repair where sometimes those things can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is also for engineering. When is the railroad crossing on Indianapolis Boulevard by Cargill, by the ramp to the casino, going to be fixed?
All right. Chris, you're the best person to handle that one. You've been working with NDOT with Cargill, with who else?
The Magic Railroad tracks that nobody owns?
Right.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to claim these railroad tracks because it needs work, and then we were going to pave over it, and then everybody had a problem with it.
Right. It's an issue. To go back in time, the railroad tracks predate the roads. Because the railroad tracks predate the roads, the area of land on which those tracks are located are part of an old trust that goes back to the 1800s. It doesn't actually belong to anybody. It's kind of a no man's land. The tracks run into Cargill, and Cargill uses them, but they're not their tracks. INDOT has the right-of-way for the road. However, on the old maps, the road isn't there. The road's somewhere else, and so INDOT actually doesn't have ownership of that section either. So it's kind of a no man's land, but the last time we had a meeting, Cargill was going to attempt to acquire ownership. They were going to do kind of a quiet title action, and once they own them, because there's no point putting money into fixing railroad tracks that you don't own. So they were going to attempt to acquire the property through adverse possession, and then they were going to make the repairs, but I don't know where that is in the legal procedure. They are working with the attorneys in Indianapolis for INDOT. But as it stands right now, nobody owns it. It belongs to some old farm that was here way back when there were still cows walking around.
But could you follow that up, Chris? And because it's been 5 or 6 months probably since we checked in.
Right,
on
we
this
all had
issue.
that, is Mylan here? We all had that meeting up at the marina. Yeah, and we had that meeting at the marina, and it was in the hands of the lawyers of INDOT and Cargill.
From what we understood, though, if we paved over that stretch, Cargill is negatively affected because they need that rail line to get rail traffic.
They use that rail line in between their facilities,
Mhm.
but they don't own that section of track where it's
Right.
bad.
Okay. I think the gentleman has a question.
Yes. That particular crossing, I spoke to Linda Lawson about a few times, and about 10 to 12 years ago, I spoke to her about it, and it was shut down and repaired by someone. It was actually closed halfway and then repaired. So is there a possibility to look at those records? Who did that repair? Because it was done.
Dan? The only person, 12 years ago, I was mayor. Well, I guess, no, technically, that was under Mayor Delo's administration, but Stan has been here for a lot longer than that, so.
Yeah, we would have to work with INDOT to find out, because working on that section of roadway wouldn't require getting any kind of paperwork or any permits from the city of Hammond. They would be through the state highway department.
My point is, it was repaired at one time.
Right.
If someone
I can tell you that I personally spoke with INDOT on this. I know Chris has spoke with Cargill on this. I mean, INDOT wants nothing to do with it. They're like, hey, listen, pave over it. We're fine with that, right? And I'm fine with it. Let's pave over it because everybody's sick and tired of going over it. And then Cargill was suddenly very concerned. So I think if anybody owns it, it should be Cargill. But as Chris said, they're trying to clear up ownership because whoever owns it has to maintain it. We can't maintain it. It's on the state highway. So it would be INDOT that would do it. It's one of those situations where everybody's pointing at each other, but sir, that's a state highway, and we can't really just come in and just pave over it, or else, I guess we could, but we'll get sued. So I appreciate the question. Could you do me a favor, Leanne, and make sure that Attorney Cantar gets a copy of that, and we'll follow it up tomorrow, okay? This is, I appreciate you showing up and keeping us on top of this too. We had 1,000 different issues going on, and it's good to be reminded that we haven't followed this up recently. But we have followed this up, but not recently, and I promise you we'll get an update, okay? Thank you.
that was my question.
Oh, okay, I thought it was his question. I just assumed.
I was coming from Walmart, and I almost got rear-ended by a car from Illinois. I slowed down, and the car hit the brakes, and I almost got rear-ended. And that's going to be a terrible accident or one of these days.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for the question. Okay.
Okay. The next question is a comment about recycling. The recycling truck workers never return the bins to where they were found, sometimes leaving them on the asphalt. They don't close the lids. They should use common courtesy.
Okay, I agree with that. They should use common courtesy. This, as most people are aware, we recycle. We used to pick up our own recycling, and we privatized that service. Republic now does it. They're not under the direct supervision of the city. However, we can file complaints, and once you make sure we follow this up with Republic. Since we've gone to privatized recycling, I know our recycling rate is up, I want to say 350%. 350% citywide. I know in my house it's a lot easier doing it this way because instead of, the Tuesday morning dash in my underwear taking out the recycling I forgot to put out there, it sits in my alley waiting for the gentleman to pick it up. quite frankly, I never even see them. I don't know when they pick it up at my house, but I have it out there all the time. I realize some people in the city of Hammond still have to tote the recycling out to the curb. For instance, the other side of the parkway I live on, they have to tote their recycling out to the curb. I'm lucky enough that I have an alley that they pick it up from. But when we have complaints, all we do is we forward it to our contact at Republic, and I promise you we will follow this up. So could you make sure Mark, the chief of staff, gets a copy on that one, and we'll forward it to them. Does anybody want to follow up on any recycling issues we could tack onto this, or in the back? Oh, Councilman Markovich.
You know, a lot of times I forget to put mine out in the alley, and it's in my backyard. Sometimes they'll come and take it out of the yard and do it, but technically you're not supposed to come on private property to get it, so it's your responsibility to put it in the alley.
True.
In that respect.
But they don't work for the city either.
Oh, no,
so.
we
I mean,
all
it
know
is
that.
considered trespassing, but
right,
they may
we
have
all
some
know
type
that.
of
But
fine.
sometimes they do it as a courtesy to.
Right. But
you
if
know,
we
to
did
try
that,
and
we'd
do
be
it.
in trouble. City workers.
Right. Just to clarify that point.
Cool. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Councilman Markovich. Thank you very much for coming out. While we're on the topic of elected officials, I also want to thank Hammond City Clerk Robert Golick. Thank you very much, Bob. City Councilwoman at Large Janet Venez. Thank you very much, Janet. And Councilman at Large Dan Spitali. I would introduce Councilman Mark Kowinski. Is Dave Ham here? I always forget Dave. Every time I look at Dave, I always picture Dave as Dave, but he is not here. But I'm going to introduce him anyway. County Councilman Dave Ham, because I've forgotten him a dozen times when he's been out here. So he's watching on Go Hammond TV. So anyway, all right, let's jump into the next question.
This is another comment for recycling/public works. We North Hammond and Robertsdale residents appreciate the city of Hammond cleaning up the litter around our city. Thank you. However, littering is still a problem that never ends. Can the city do more to prevent littering? Can we put up signs all over town that say "Keep Hammond Clean," $500 fine for littering?
I'd like to introduce Mr. Johnny Perez.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Johnny, how's it going? Littering is. What's the matter, Chris?
I mean, we do have an ordinance that prohibits it. We also have speed limit signs up everywhere in the city, and people should go as fast as they want to.
It's one of those situations where.
Right. The problem is we have to catch them. So if you do see somebody littering and you happen to have a passenger in the car, get a picture of their license plate.
Or like cell phone camera and just take the whole thing.
I just don't want anybody driving with their phone. If they have a passenger who can work the phone.
As long as they're not texting, it's
Right.
all right. So.
We'd be happy to issue a citation. In fact, Gary Gleason, Gary's caught people with trucks dumping material on the road,
Right.
and I've sent citations to the company
Right.
and a bill for the cleanup.
Right.
But the problem is catching them.
Okay. Johnny.
Yes, Mayor, I was going to add to that. If you see anybody, you can call our office and we can follow up. We have an area foreman in every district. And besides that, we have the city workers. So please, if you see anything like that, just give us a call at 853-6431. We'd be more than happy to help.
All right. Oh, in the back. How you doing, sir? Is that your question? Okay, hold on. Wait for Leon.
In regards to littering, the Higwish Cutoff Road, over there,
Boy Scout Road.
That one is just full of garbage. Looks like we cut the grass and then you can see all the garbage under.
We go out there regularly and hit that road, and then within a couple months, unfortunately, it seems like we need to do it again.
That'd be a nice time to get the police out there to catch these guys.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, we put up signs that said this area is being videotaped, and it doesn't slow them down any. Okay, so, you hit my leg? All right. All right, we'll go ahead and jump in there. Yeah, sorry. What do you? Sorry. We had a technical glitch, so we'll jump back in. Oh, yeah, we have the Hammond 311 app. I want to remind. I know we've been doing. In fact, Chris, how many? I know we have a lot of additional downloads on the Hammond 311 app just in the last month, which makes sense because we went on a citywide blitz with 311 information. Could you go ahead and give us an update on that?
Sure, absolutely. Recently, we've had some major jumps in downloads. Usually, we average like 12 to 20 downloads a month, and just recently, we jumped up to 100 something. So, I don't know if we've hit this area with the blitz yet, but Hammond 311 is available on Android or iOS devices. So, if you have a smartphone,
like this, this app allows you to report almost any violation that you would normally report. And people in this room are civic-minded people because that's why you're in this room. This app is made just for people like us, where you're driving down the street and you see somebody park on their grass, which I saw literally just yesterday. I was jogging too, and I stopped. I was tired anyway, but I stopped. I took out my phone and I took a picture of it, and I reported it on 311. Okay, and I said illegally parked car. Submit anonymously because I like to check the system. I could also submit it under my name, but I submitted it anonymously, and it goes straight to code enforcement, and code enforcement takes care of business. That's how it's supposed to work. If you see graffiti and you take a picture of it, the picture is encoded with GPS. True, or is it just?
It takes it from the phone.
It takes it on the phone. So we know exactly where the picture was taken, and you usually help us out by telling us also where it is, and it goes straight to graffiti removal in this case. And they would literally respond with an email back saying, I got your picture, we're going to be out there tomorrow to take care of it. And when they fix it, they take a picture of the clean wall and they email it back to you. And it works. It works quickly too. We're trying to break some people in government, I'm not going to mention names, but some people in government refuse to go by new technology and they keep sending letters. And I pointed out to a certain councilman a couple weeks ago, he goes to every council meeting and blasts us with 10 or 15 letters of complaints that he's accumulated over the last 2 weeks. I said, Councilman, if you would simply submit them on 311, we wouldn't have to wait 2 weeks for it to get fixed. It would get fixed literally the next day. So we're still trying to train government people to use this app. At the same time, we're trying to do an outreach with our city residents and inform you that this is a great app and it helps us deal with issues like this. So, yeah, Councilman?
I just want to comment about experience I had with illegal dumping. One time there was a pickup truck parked at 131st and Calumet Avenue, parked in the back, and they were throwing roofing shingles. So I called 911, and it took a while for them to get there. So the guys left. I followed them down 131st to Sheffield to Boy Scout Road, kept going, and I'm talking with the police officers while on the cell phone. Once they got to the Illinois line, the policemen stopped. So then I followed them into Illinois, and they went through Hegar's, a couple alleys and everything, and all. They decided to come back. So then I followed them, and then they went down Holman Avenue, they turned at 142nd and Holman, and turned off on Henry, and I called the police, and they came there, and they got him for the illegal dumping. But if you call 311, nothing's really going to happen other than the picture. But, I called 911, had to give them the license number and everything, so that would probably be a more efficient way of doing that.
Yeah, I don't know if calling 911 is a good recommendation. Calling 911 if it's life or death. But.
Well, what Munster's doing now is all your calls, they're telling you to call 911 to take all of their calls, whether it's emergency or not.
I don't think
that's going to be really interesting when consolidation takes place.
Right.
And
True.
Those dispatchers are going to want to handle
right.
illegal dumping.
I in Munster and Hammond have different issues, different types of calls that come into 911. I think, Chief, how do you feel about this?
I can't recommend the use of 911 for non-emergency calls. It's there just for that. And there's only so many operators. If there's 3 operators in a room and we have every call is a 911 call, they're going to be swamped, and one of those operators is already handling the fire department. So really you have 2.
Right.
So please call the non-emergency numbers and we'll get out there as soon as we can. As the priority of the call dictates what else is going on in the city. I appreciate what the councilman's saying, and he was actually following that vehicle. And even he says we were slow to get there, probably because there was another priority call going on. Otherwise, we would have been there more quickly. So, but tying up a 911 line, and then both operators are busy, and then somebody gets shot and they can't get through,
right?
And they have to call the non-emergency number instead because 911's tied up is not a good idea.
Okay. Well, I appreciate Councilman Markovich trying to stop dumping, though. I mean, that's very admirable. It's just calling 911 and quite frankly chasing people around is sort of crazy too. But then again, Bob, you're a pretty aggressive person, so.
Mayor.
But anyway, yeah. Chris.
The point of Hammond 301 is it's non-emergency. I mean, if
right.
you see someone breaking into a car, you're not going to stop out, pull out your cell phone, take a
right.
picture of the guy.
Right.
Call 911. It's for non-emergency. It's for maybe your recycling was missed. There's a tree branch fell and it's blocking the sidewalk.
Right.
Water mains have broken. I mean, that's the type of stuff. It's not stuff where someone's life is in danger, and we definitely don't want you to put your life in danger to get a picture of somebody.
Okay. Thanks. Anyway, thanks, Councilman Markovich, and thanks for the question. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one, Leah.
Okay, this question is for the police department. The speed limit on the Sheffield Park Road is 15 miles per hour. Illinois motorists are using it like it's a speedway. What can we do to slow them down before summer comes?
Great question.
Okay, we've been contacted by the councilman up here. We've received a lot of complaints on that. We do monitor it regularly. We do enforce regularly. Butch Logan enforces, he's in the back there. He's one of our regular officers that enforces the speed on that area. We can't always stay there, unfortunately, and we can't see every violation, but I hope you're seeing the police out there because I know they're there, because I live up here. I ride down Calumet to go to work, and when I come back and in between, I live up on 115th, and I see my guys doing their job. Unfortunately, we just can't be there 100% of the time because we have other things to do as well. We can't put speed bumps, and that's a question on coming up because state law prohibits that on a roadway or alleyway. We can't do that. The city did a good job of designing roundabouts to try to control the speed. It's also weaves around. I've driven that. If someone's driving it fast because they want to and they're challenging themselves in their vehicle perhaps, but it is designed to keep cars going more slowly than a straightaway. So we are making every effort. I believe we are out there doing some due diligence. Just keep calling us, keep making us aware, keep using the 311 app, make us more aware, and we'll stay up there. So as long as you're complaining, we'll stay on it.
Thanks, Chief. Okay.
All right, this question is for code enforcement. There is a truck on Lake Avenue where the alarm keeps going off every time a car goes by. Can this be cited? I don't know if that's code or if that's police. Maybe?
That'd be code, right? Kelly?
If it's code, it'd be the first time we've handled something like that.
So it's an alarm issue?
It's an alarm issue with the car. I believe it is going off all night. Maybe something
Ron?
falls under the police department.
Is that you, Ron? Noise issue? The noise issue would be environmental.
Yeah, there is a noise ordinance. If we have the license number of the vehicle, we can send them a letter. Otherwise, if it's after normal business hours, it's probably calling the police department to ask them to investigate.
The information was provided, just so you know. I didn't want to read it though, so everyone's information is out there.
Just send it to the
But
office.
we do have it.
Well, more importantly, it's an Illinois license plate. They live
And
on
it's,
Lake
and it's permanently parked there?
It's an Illinois license plate, and they live on Lake Avenue, 1400 block. I have
And it's
the
been there more
address.
than, what, 3 months, Chief? Is it
For
60
more
days?
than that.
60 days.
60 days, yeah. Okay.
That's certainly something we can take care of.
They've lived there for at least a year or more.
Okay, you said what block of Lake Street?
1400 block. I have
1400
the
block?
address on the, I've noted the address on the license plate and the car, and the truck make.
I was trying to. I'm having trouble though. Okay. Trying to run a meeting and put it in the 311. Can somebody put this in the 311 for me? We can just get it right away.
We'll get that into the 311. It'll go out to our community affairs guys, and we'll come out and do some reciprocity violations on the vehicle. We can come by and drive by ourselves if the alarm goes off. Then we can, and it seems to be set too sensitive. That's an adjustment the owner can make. So we can do a courtesy call there also and just say, hey, this is a problem. Your neighbors are calling on you. You need to take this in, and you need to have that adjusted so it's less sensitive. They can adjust the alarm so it's not like that. I had to do that with an old alarm on my car. After a while, they get more sensitive, and you have to make that adjustment.
Okay.
I live in the 1400 block of Amy Court, and I hear the alarm a lot. So,
Okay.
gives you some idea.
Thank you. So Jeff, we can put out-of-state license plate and the alarm goes off pretty, frequently. Thank you, ma'am. We'll put that in the 311. We'll get on it right away. Okay.
This kind of pertains to that. I have to stand over there. Because on my block, there was a truck. There's a truck that's always there. It's an Illinois truck. I use the Hammond 311. As long as they move a foot, they don't get a ticket. But what I found out was, now they've lived there, I don't know how long. I've only lived in this house 5 years, but they've been there since before me.
Is it a work truck from Illinois?
That's what I was informed. They own a business in Illinois, but all their Illinois cars are on my block because I'm like 5 Points.
Mm-hmm.
So they live on Calumet. They don't want to park their cars on Calumet. All their Illinois cars are kind of our block, so, and there's nothing you can do. Isn't there something you can do? if he owns a business in Illinois, shouldn't
Right.
those cars be in Illinois?
Well, we have situations. Let me, Chris, why don't we get the microphone to Chris? Chris, in a situation like this, the work truck is fine to park on our streets, but as far as their personal vehicles, they should be licensed in Indiana, right?
What Indiana law states is that any person who occupies a residence for 60 contiguous days has to switch their plates over. However, if they are driving a work vehicle,
Right.
let's say they drive a limo from the airport, they can park it there because that is a work vehicle, that is not their personal vehicle registered to them. It has to be a vehicle registered to somebody else.
Okay. So, what block is that, ma'am? 115th Street. Do we have, take a look at that, Chief? All right, thanks. All right, Leon.
Mr. Mayor, can't we put up put an ordinance and get a residential parking with actual parking numbers for them people up there, like that lady that needs it? I mean, they're doing it all over the country nowadays.
What's that?
There are residential parking, and then you have to have your parking number match the number on the sign.
Well, that would be a sticker system. We've talked about stuff like that. And
Okay, I'm just-
some people think it's a great idea. Some people think it's a horrible idea. That would be something we would have to do through ordinance, through the Hammond City Council. I've heard people talk about it. I don't want to name names, but I don't know if it ever really moved forward because some people feared that it would get into a fee type of system where you had to pay to park on the street. And then there's some neighborhoods where this type of problem is prevalent, and then there's some other neighborhoods where it's not an issue at all. That's a situation that's been discussed before. Never really moved forward, though. Yes, sir?
We have a house a couple houses away from us. We're guessing it's all Calumet College students, all Illinois plates, and there's anywhere from 2 to 9 cars on our block daily.
Have
We
you-
don't know how many, sometimes there's 2 that sleep there, sometimes all of them sleep there.
Mhm.
But it's Illinois cars, they've been there for
Is it an apartment building or?
No,
It's a house.
2-bedroom home, just like
Have you
ours.
reported this to the city before?
Yes, we asked about it, and they said they would check into it.
You reported it to code enforcement then, or?
Oh, no, we didn't, no, we talked to the president of the college.
Oh, but
And he
has-
said that he would check into it, and they did get to where they didn't park in front of our house, but one lady had to have a handicap sticker put up, so
Right.
in the morning she was able to get to the hospital.
Could I get your block?
2700 block of Birch,
2700 block of
Birch Avenue.
Birch?
A lot of times when we have a Illinois vehicle in front of a house in Hammond, a lot of times it's just under registered rental property also. So that's something that we'd be glad to take a look at.
2700 block of Birch, Kelly.
Okay, through 311 or phone call or email, any way you can get it to us.
Could you make sure we follow that up? Okay. All right. Thank you.
This is another question for code enforcement. A house on Amy Court, major sore spot, roofing, painting, stairs, and carport. What is the code? Also, there's no address on the front or back of the home.
If we can get an address from either north or south side of that, wasn't too long ago we took down a house on Amy. So we issued a citation, see if we can get some response. Is it vacant?
No.
If it's not vacant, then we can issue a citation, give the owner an opportunity to make the repairs. Long term, if something doesn't get done, and depending on condition, it may end up on the order to repair or demolish. Usually occupied homes will get repaired once they know they have to go to court to get it done.
This is a perfect example of why the 311 app is so important, is because it's total accountability when you put it in. Sometimes when you say, hey, I saw the mayor the other day and I told him about my house, with the best of intentions, I get 50 or 60 people a day that tell me 50 or 60 different problems, and then I get back to the office and I'm trying to remember all the problems that everybody told me. This goes right to code in this case. If you have a problem with too many Illinois plates in your next door neighbor, it goes right to code. You get an email that proves it went to code, and code literally has a certain amount of days to act upon it. And once they're finished, code will email you back and say, this is what we did. That's why it's the most accountable system we have. That's why we implemented the system. And these are great. And, the written question here, in my opinion, is better because the written question, at least we have a document that we can follow up. Some of the verbal ones that come up after with the best of intentions, I'm taking notes over here. I know Kelly's taking notes. I know the chief's taking notes. But these are the types of things, if you went through the 311 system, it would be a lot more effective, in my opinion. So, yeah.
code enforcement several times about the issue, and there's nothing
Which issue
been
is that?
done. The house,
Okay.
one house north of me. And I've called code enforcement several times, and there has never been anything done.
Kelly? I don't hear too many times where code enforcement gets a phone call and just says, nah, throw that one in the garbage.
Nick is a very good inspector. He's very thorough.
Nick lives in the first district, right?
It's his home.
He lives in North Hammond, but I mean, not in Robertsdale, but still.
First
This
district.
is
Yeah.
one of the reasons he was chosen for the first district, is because this is
Absolutely.
his home.
Absolutely. When did you report this? How long has it been?
Within the past 2-3 years, but just of recent, this past week, I was told that two of the people who are responsible for this were out of the office. I've left messages and I'm not getting any return calls. That's why I'm here tonight, because I'm so thankful that they chose my question, because I feel that I'm going to get some sort of resolve here.
If you want to see me after the meeting, I'll give you my card. It has my email, phone number. I'll give you my cell phone number. I'll guarantee you we'll follow up on it. I'll be able to give you a status of what's happened and where we're going forward. Not a problem.
Thank you.
It sat on the end of my block for about 3 months with a flat tire. It had out-of-state license plates, and I don't know which state it was, but I called, to report it in that, because, like I said, it was like 3 months. And there's a policeman lives across the street. Now, I would expect that he would just take the reins on this. But in the same relationship to this, that police car sits there probably the whole day except for maybe 2 or 3 hours. Is this what the taxpayers are paying for, his car to sit in front of his house?
I don't understand what you just said.
Are the taxpayers paying for this police car, who is not doing any service to the community, to sit in front of this man's house?
Okay. Sometimes police officers work different hours than you may, ma'am. He could be working all night, unless you're watching his house like that. But Chief, do you park police cars?
I can't help but notice it. I mean, I drive right by there every day.
But like, he could be working at 3 in the morning, ma'am, and you may not be driving by at 3 in the morning. Police officers work 24 hours a day. They work overnight. They work when I go jogging. I have a jogging route by my house, and every time I jog by this one house, I see a police car. Almost every single time I jog by, and I think to myself, what the heck is this officer doing? I think it myself, and I'm the mayor. And I get done, and I called up the chief one day. I said, Chief, I see this house. I see this police car every time I jog by the house. Does that police car sit there? And he called me back. He said, No, Mayor, he works midnights. And I don't jog at midnight, so I don't see the car when he's actually working.
I'd like to have this looked into.
Okay.
I would like to know if he's just, the city there and we're paying the taxes on. I'd like to know.
What's the address?
That's out of me. It's 1600 Roberts.
Chief, you know anybody off the top of your head? 1600 Robert?
No, I don't.
My understanding was that he was supposed to be watching, I guess, the school kids. But I have never seen him over by the school, and I live right behind the school.
Wow. Have you reported this to the police department before, or anybody else?
No. I reported the car that sat there for 3 months. Like I said, nothing was ever done with it.
The police car?
No, this other car that I mentioned first.
Who'd you report it to?
The number that I have for, whatever number it is for picking up cars or what, on your list where you have the phone numbers.
Okay. All right. Well, I know a lot of people don't have smartphone apps, but if anybody ever gets into a situation like this where you think you're not getting resolution, call my office, and we follow all this up. So you have, on what block, is the car still there?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. They finally took it out.
Okay. But the police car is bugging you now, right?
Well, it isn't a
1600 block of
It
Roberts?
isn't a question of bugging me. It's a question of being fair to taxpayers who, if it's not being utilized the way it should be,
Okay.
that
Do me a favor,
something
Chief.
should be done
Find out
about
whose
it.
car it is. It's
I
1600.
believe I know whose it is. It's one of our traffic officers has lived over there for years.
Okay.
No, he
And
just bought that house. He just
Okay.
bought-
Why don't we
he
find
just-
out exactly what's going on?
he
We can
did buy a
report-
house over there, but he lived in that area, and but I believe I do know who that is.
All right.
But he's, is he in the car when you see the car? Okay, well, he lives there, and that's his take-home vehicle because he's a supervisor. So, but I don't believe he's, well, I know the officer, I don't believe he would be there while he's on duty, but I can check on that.
So we're paying for that car,
Most-
even though he's a supervisor.
Most people usually are really happy when they have a police officer living on their block, and because the police cars on the block deter crime. And usually I don't get too many complaints like this. I've been mayor for over 11 years. Usually when there's a car on the block, people are like, hey, even when I drive by that car I was talking about earlier, even though I know the gentleman's probably in the house sleeping because he worked all night, I still slow down when I drive by that car. And I know the car's empty. And if I was a bad guy and I was on that block and I saw that car there, I'd probably think twice if I was going to break into a house or break into a car or cause mischief, because there's a police officer in a police car right there. So it cuts both ways. I can tell you when I took over as mayor, we used to have police cars that left the city, and that was unacceptable. We fixed that. But I want to remind everybody that this whole process is driven by questions at the back. If you have questions, I'm going to ask you to go to the back, and I'm going to focus on the people that asked questions and filled out their form so that I can get through them all, because if everybody raises their hand, we're never going to get through the written questions. So we'll go ahead and jump into the next one, Leanne.
Okay, someone has a question about residential homes as apartments. They really didn't expand on that. Anyone? No?
Well, there was a question about this at the debate last night. An issue that came up, my opponent pointed out that he thought we were unfair about how we could go up to a house that's been cut into 3 pieces and it's supposed to be a single family unit, and he thought it was unfair that we forced the owner of the property to reconvert it back to a single family home. And I'm going to let Jim and Kelly speak on this in a second. Is Kurt here also? Oh, hey Kurt, what's going on? You guys usually sit together. But he pointed out that it's not fair to the homeowner, that the homeowner invested a lot of money to cut that property up into 3 pieces, and they should be allowed to make the rents. And I pointed out to the councilman, if you cut a single family home into 3 pieces, that's 3 times as much trash that unit's going to generate, 3 times as much traffic, 3 times as many kids that are going to be in the school city, 3 times as many problems typically. You think it's hard finding a parking space on your block now, you cut up your next door neighbor into 3 families, you're going to be fighting for every spot you can get. This is one of the biggest problems facing our city is for about 10 years, these cut-ups were allowed to flourish. And since Jim Callahan, Kurt Cook, Kelly Kearney have been in charge of the inspections department, we've been rooting them out. We've been cutting this cancer out of our city, and it's vital that we continue to do this. And there's neighborhoods in North Hammond, there's neighborhoods in downtown Hammond, there's neighborhoods in the 4th District where this is a major issue, and we're trying to fix it. That's my 2 cents. Jim, could you go ahead and add to your wisdom?
The issue for us
It's not on. It's not on. There you go.
The issue for us is public safety. We work closely with fire and police, and we have actually seen photos of people that have died in basement apartments, glass black windows, and fire cannot get in, police cannot get out. 644 Sibley was another one where 3 children died in an unsafe building. And trust me, once you see this, it sticks in your mind. And when you walk in a property and you see it's unsafe, them kind of memories are etched in your mind, and you think about that. We can research a property from the day it was built until today and find out if there were permits to convert it from a single family home to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units or whatever. If there are no permits or were no permits issued to convert that property from a single family home to however many units are in them, we take these people in front of the Board of Works and we ask the Board of Works our goal is to restore it back to a single family home. And we have what, 9,000 rentals in the city? And we'd probably eliminate a couple hundred illegal apartments a year. But for us, it's public safety. We no longer want to have anybody die in an accident, a fire, or whatever. It's something we don't enjoy taking income from people, but we don't enjoy seeing bodies in a house that's been unsafe either.
And we've seen that too much. And besides the public safety issue that Jim's talking about, it's also neighborhood havoc. It creates neighborhood havoc. It's, you're fighting for parking spaces in front of your own house. The trash it generates is 3 times as much trash as we're accustomed to. The school city that's already overburdened has that many more students to educate. It's just not good for our city. So,
And
anyway.
also, when you have a 3-unit building like that, you're going to have more police calls because somebody's going to have the music turned up too loud, the downstairs neighbor's going to complain, or there's dispute between neighbors, family disturbances and that. And we keep very close tabs on every police call every day. And when one property receives a lot of police calls, I turn them over to Chris Cantar, who sends them a letter and lets them know that this is not tolerated. If they continue to get all these police calls, they'll be cited as a nuisance property. That could cost the owner $2,500 a violation. And again, for us, it's public safety.
All right, thank you.
This question is for the marina. Why are the bathrooms at Amico Park always locked? Is it possible to get a porta potty?
Good question.
Well, the bathrooms are locked because there's no water to the bathrooms. Back when the park department constructed the bathrooms, at the time the administration made the decision not to put water to them, so there hasn't been water. And
When was
yes,
that?
pardon me.
When was that?
That's a long time ago, Mayor.
Good.
Real long time
I'm
ago.
glad
It was pre-Mayor McDermott.
Yeah?
Yes.
Was it my father's administration?
Could have been.
All right. Sorry. I'll let him know. when I
Yeah,
talk to him
always
later on.
blame Dad, right?
That's right.
There you go. No. And we will be bringing out a porta potty, so everybody can use that when they're out there. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
This question is also for the marina. Thank you, Hammond, for the beautiful bike trails and green spaces. We love them. One problem is the littering trash, especially on the George plus Wolf Lakes trail. It always blows over with the high winds. Is there something we can do to stop that?
I ride the trails a lot. They're beautiful. This is the nicest part of the city with the trail system and everything that we've done up here. I was trying to remember, I think we spent over $50 million since I've been mayor in Robertsdale alone. That was obviously with a lot of help from the Regional Development Authority, but it is beautiful. We do get some of the rural parts of the bike trail, and you do see people, usually cyclists are very good about that kind of stuff, but I think maybe some of the fishermen let stuff fly around. I'm not sure, but is this your question, ma'am?
Yeah, it's
Sure.
my question.
Yeah.
It's the blue and white plastic containers, the trash cans
Mhm.
that go into the water
Oh,
with the high winds. So there's another part that says I want to get, like at the Hammond Marina, how they have the wire mesh free trash cans.
Okay.
Like those.
We'll try to work it into our budget and try to get that along the trails as well.
Have you heard that before?
The garbage cans do end up in Wolf Lake.
Right.
Yeah, they do. And we try to get them out. We
winds
also
are strong in this part of the
winds
city.
are pretty strong, yeah.
Right.
We also get some help from the folks over at Ileana to help us get some of those out too from the yacht club there. So
that's nice.
It's a work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
will try.
Thank you, ma'am. Could you make sure that Mylan gets a copy of that? Thank you. Before I get on to the next question, I want to thank 4th District Councilman Bill Emerson for coming here. Thank you very much, Councilman. It makes 5 councilmen. I think we have a quorum. Just kidding. You guys can't talk to each other, and we'll be fine. So, all right.
This question is for planning and development. Is it possible to get an Ace Hardware store in Robertsdale area where the Indianapolis Boulevard development is currently?
Great. Before Phil jumps in, this is a perfect opportunity to talk about the 35-acre project, which is the project that's taking place around the Super Walmart in Robertsdale. I know I get questions like this a lot, and I'm sure Phil in Africa do also, is, hey, I'd like to see a Starbucks, or hey, I'd like to see an Ace Hardware. We would like to see these things too. However, it's up to Ace Hardware if they want to relocate to our city. It's not up to City Hammond. It's up to Starbucks if they want to relocate to our city. I wish it was up to Mayor McDermott because I could save my drive to Cal City every day. So, Phil, why don't you go ahead and jump in and talk a little bit about the project, and then this question's about Ace Hardware.
Sure. Well, as far as the Ace Hardware question, the first thing is you have to own property. The city has to own property that we could potentially market to somebody like an Ace Hardware. There have been times that I have gone directly to some of these hardware stores, maybe not an Ace, but certain ones just like that, and tried to get them to look at certain areas of the city. I've talked about Robertsdale and North Hammond, two different hardware stores. So far, nobody has bid. Nobody has said they're willing to invest the money it would take to potentially build one or purchase a building that's for sale. If there is a building, for example, on Calumet Avenue, as you drive by, you'll see there's a building for sale that used to be a hardware store. Sometimes we can direct a group to look at a specific property, but then when they meet with the property owners, they find that the property's for sale for too much money. And then it stalls the project from moving forward in that regard. So we do look at that. We have looked at a hardware store. I've actually heard that from other residents from North Hammond and Robertsdale. So it is something that it's a focus of ours. We can't make any promises, as the mayor said. It's going to take the person who's putting the $1 million up or the investment amount up to make it happen. But it will be a focus of ours, and we will continue. As far as the 35-acre project, you probably noticed that they've started the cutting and clearing portion around the Walmart. So it's good that we're seeing some activity. There was a temporary delay because of the NIPSCO utility relocation costs. When the development group budgeted for what they thought it was going to cost to move NIPSCO and other utilities, it turned out it was 3 times the amount that they thought it was going to be. So as far as what I've heard recently is that they've talked to NIPSCO directly, and they're in the process of working out an arrangement, and hopefully both sides will be happy in the long run, and the project will keep moving forward. But right now they are cutting and clearing. Mylan and I actually went for a drive around the property 2 days ago because there is a lot of litter in that area. So this is something we're focusing on right now, is to stay on the developer about the litter and the garbage in that area, especially as you're cutting down trees and branches. You're finding there was a lot of stuff that was in there and in the grass. So this is something we're focused on right now. We're also focused on the litter around the Walmart. But the positive part is that the project is moving forward. And in the end, I think there's going to be new retail and different businesses that hopefully Robertsdale and North Hammond will be happy to use in the future.
And this question was originally about hardware stores. I do want to point out it's not in the Robertsdale section. It's not even in the first district, but we've been successful in luring a new Home Depot to the 3rd district, which is right along 165th. And also in that same neighborhood, we just recently rebuilt the entire Menards, not recently, a few years ago, but so we have had success with hardware stores in Hammond recently. I know the Super Walmart, I imagine it sells tools in there, but some people don't like going in big stores like that. But I appreciate the question. The good news is the 35-acre project is moving forward. So, all right, thank you.
Okay. This question is also for planning and development. What will happen with the old Woodmar Mall?
I was just talking to a crime watch group the other day, and I said there is not a single meeting that goes by that somebody doesn't ask about Woodmar Mall. So it comes up every time. So right now, people are probably familiar with the fact that the city is still in litigation with the developer at Woodmar. Obviously, about 4 years ago, we entered into an agreement with the developer. Some things happened. The parking lot was resurfaced. There was new lighting put in, which was important to a lot of Carson's customers. You saw a new outlet mall that was constructed, and there's a few new businesses in there, including Subway and a physical therapy place. But unfortunately, when we looked at the agreement that we have with the developer, we found several issues that we thought the developer didn't meet the promise that he made the city of Hammond. And beyond that, there were also contractors that worked on the site that did not get paid in a timely manner from the developer, so they also entered into litigation with the developer. So right now, I think we're getting closer to the tail end. These type of litigation issues take a while. They don't get resolved right away, especially when there's multiple parties like we have here. The good news is there's been some momentum in the Woodmar Mall area. You've seen a new O'Reilly's Auto Parts just constructed a new building. Dollar Tree just constructed a new building. A few of the restaurants there actually renovated their properties, the Taco Bell and the Wendy's, and made them look a little bit more modern, a little more clean. And then recently we announced that we're working with Smith Chevrolet on a demolition project, which is going to help them expand the amount of cars that they're able to sell and create a better looking car dealership in that area. So we do have some momentum there. The Walmart, as people know, the new Super Walmart at the Cabela's is going to be open May 20th, at least right now, that's the date they gave. And when there's a developing group, there's a developer out there that has an option on the soon-to-be vacant Walmart building at Woodmar. He is working very hard to get a new user, or I should say multiple users, for what will soon be the old vacant Walmart. So there's activity, there's things occurring. Hopefully in the near future you'll hear about the litigation being resolved and things will move forward. So I hope that answers the question, whoever asked.
All right, thank you.
Okay. This,
Is that about Woodmar?
No, it's about the police.
Oh, could you fill out a question in the back, sir? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
this question is, what kind of opportunities for housing and activities are available for seniors?
Well, we had one project, I know. Carmen, why don't you grab the microphone? There was one project that we worked on with a community group in the first district for the St. Adalbo, am I pronouncing that right? Hidalgo. Adalbert, right on the boulevard. That whole project fell through. It was a senior and disabled, it was a senior living community. We needed to get tax credits from the government in order to make that happen. That project didn't occur. I know that Carmen at Hammond Housing is in charge of senior housing as well. And
through the Housing Authority, yes, we have the senior disabled building, the Gilbert Humphrey building, that's income qualifying people. We also have the Golden Manor, that's for senior and disabled as well, but that's also affordable housing, so you do have to income qualify for those buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're soon going to be building some new construction that can potentially be for seniors. That's going to be Flexstone Village, but that's also going to be affordable housing, meaning they have to income qualify to live there.
right. Yeah.
Mark against you, but I was going to ask what happened to the senior housing, because 2 years ago I asked that question, and you did mention the St. Adele.
Right, right.
My question basically is what are seniors to do in this area, in Robbinsdale and Whiting? If you want to do anything with senior groups, you have to go south. Everybody south has got things for their seniors except us. And I love this neighborhood and that, but I don't like to have to drive to Munster or Cherville or whatever to have something to do. And I think what we need, and this is not against you, because I think you're a great mayor, but I think we need a little less a little less park area and more senior things.
Okay, I appreciate it. One of the things we do for seniors to try to keep them in their primary residence is a $500 senior and disabled tax credit that I know hundreds of seniors participate in. Obviously not yourself, but I can tell you what, out of all the programs that we do, including College Bound, I get more positive feedback from that $500 senior and disabled tax credit because it allows them to stay in their homes. And in a lot of cases, they can't afford the tax payment on their home, and this helps keep them there. Which if they stay in their primary residence, they wouldn't have to worry about senior housing because they have the house. So, Phil, do you have something?
Yes, two things. The senior project that was looked at St. Adalbert's, to make a senior housing development work, most of the time, their new market tax credits have to be involved. As part of that process, if you're in what's called a QCT, a qualified census tract, you have a much better leg up on the other guys in getting approved for the tax credits. In that area, it is not a QCT, and we believe that's why it was denied. For these types of projects, you have to have a developer that's going to come in that's willing to take it on and apply for the tax credits and hopefully move forward. In this case, the state ended up denying them on the tax credits. Also, we're working on a senior housing facility. It's not the city, it's a separate developer. It's not necessarily in Robertsdale, I think, which is what more you're asking on your question, but it's closer to downtown Hammond. There is a project that's moving forward.
Right on 12th Street. Right.
Correct. So there is a project moving forward, and hopefully more of these will happen. I know, again, we focus on it. We look at Robertsdale. We know there's a need in this area. We're going to need some help, because if you're not in a qualified census tract, it puts you in a tough position to get it approved.
I'm not basically referring to housing. I'm referring to things for seniors to do.
Okay. All right. Jill, we have a question in the back? No.
have Bill Porter Orchestra, so there's always stuff going on at the pad. We also have free yoga classes, and if we think there's enough seniors interested, I could see if she'd be willing to do a senior yoga type class.
And we also have an e-blast available. If you do have email, you can sign up on gohammond.com.
I don't think a lot of seniors have, they don't get e-blast.
Well, if you do,
but,
or know
that's
someone who
more
does,
geared towards-
then that's available to you.
Yeah. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Mayor. Also wanted to remind you that the Hammond Library has a ton of programs. We have computer classes during May itself. We have an old-time radio show next Thursday, a free concert on May 23rd, a Shakespearean troupe on May 28th, and local author fair on May 30th. We have chess every Mondays and also on the second Saturday of the month. So there's a lot to do at the library. Look us up.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and do the next question.
Okay, this question is for, first for Public Works. Who is responsible for the parkways, grass on the street, in the middle of the street?
The Department of Public Works. But I'd like to introduce Jason Donovan, who is the first district supervisor for Public Works Department. Jason, welcome.
Yeah, the city does cut the medians.
Which one are they talking about?
They're talking about Garfield over by the complex,
Right.
100.
Okay.
And, we're just getting started, our mower's going. And
Right. I saw the mowers going around the city today. It's the first time I've seen them this year.
It's like a little catch-up.
Yeah.
this time of year. So
Okay.
we'll get there.
So the person that asked this question, want to follow that up at all? Or yeah, ma'am, in the back. It's always farther away. But Jason, we need to get the microphone back there.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And I noticed the area has a lot of trash and it hasn't been cut. I would be willing as a neighbor to clean the parkway up, but it's got full of trash and it hasn't been cut. So that's one of my concerns for that particular area. Should I talk about the next one? Okay.
Okay. 6100 Buck Garfield, right? Yes, sir. Jason, could you? I see Jason taking notes. He will be there tomorrow. Thank you.
The next question is, who do I contact about gang activity in the area or drug activity?
Chief Doty?
Hammond Police Department. We'll be glad to take that call. You can just call my desk phone, 852-6335. If I don't answer, leave your complaint there, and I'll make sure it gets to where it needs to go. If it's sensitive in nature, definitely talk to an officer. Don't use 311 for that if you're going to name names and you don't want to do that. But you can do it anonymously, right? You can do it anonymously also without putting your name on the 311. But if it's a general complaint about gang activity, you can use 311 for that. But you can always call the non-emergency dispatch number. They can put you through to our gang unit, or you can call the chief's office directly, and then we'll forward the call.
Thanks, Chief. Did you get that, ma'am? Thank you.
Okay, this question is also...
I want to reemphasize something the Chief just said also about anonymity. We're really, really good about that. So there are certain situations where you don't want your neighbor to know, or you don't want the person who lives down the street to know how we got that complaint. Chief, I know that you guys operate this way. We do the same with code, total anonymity. You'll never, if you call on your next door neighbor is never going to know it was you. We don't operate that way. So we want to encourage you to call. We don't want you to be afraid. So especially if it's concerning drug dealing and stuff like that, call, please. And you won't have any repercussions. So thank you for the question.
Okay, this question is also for the police department. Why are the police officers no longer serving and protecting? It does not say that on their cars.
Well, if you change the verbiage on a car, it doesn't mean we're not doing our job. So I think that question's a little unfair. I take that a little personally. It says to protect and defend, and that's to protect the innocent and defend against aggression. Because a lot of the bad guys out there, what they are is predators, and the people that they prey upon are the innocent people. So about a number of years ago, we changed our logo to what because we didn't want to have the same thing everybody else in the nation has on the side of their car. We wanted something unique for Hammond, something we believed in. That's a model that we live by, and we are here to protect the innocent and defend against aggression and people that would harm you. So that's what that means. It doesn't mean we're not doing our job because we changed our logo on our car.
Okay. How you doing, sir?
Okay, thank you. You can throw me out because I already voted over at Wicker Park. Anyway,
It's all right.
last Thursday.
Unless you didn't vote for me and then you're out. No.
As a matter of fact, I voted for you 4 times, not in one
Welcome
day.
to Lake County, right?
Not in one day,
Thank you, sir.
Daily.
Thank you.
But anyway.
Then you could stay.
Okay, last Thursday I called 911 and I wanted to report a theft,
Mhm.
and the operator chewed me out. And then what happened was, she said, somebody will contact you, and Sergeant Sawyer called me, and I explained to him what was going on, and then I did a follow-up with, the area Hessville, the police officer that's got Hessville.
Who?
Muta? Was John Muta, perhaps?
No, Holbrook.
Holbrook. Scott
yeah,
Holbrook.
Scott Holbrook, yeah.
Uh-huh.
To follow up, now, I'm an old dummy and I don't know how to use a computer.
That's fine.
So what am I supposed to do?
Well, do you want to, Chief?
Well, it sounds like you went through the process and several officers responded. Are you satisfied?
Well, I didn't think I should be chewed out by a 911 operator.
The 911 operator doesn't work for us, you know that. I mean, we've gone countywide and it's run by the county now. I mean, I'm not excusing their behavior at all, but Hammond does not do its own dispatch anymore because of the state law that mandated we all consolidate services in the Crown Point.
Yeah, that's true. The consolidation. If you get a complaint like that, though, we still want it. We do still have the ability to take your complaint to the county and ask their supervisors to handle that employee. But since they're no longer my employee directly, I need your input on that. They give an operator number, not a name. They usually. If something like that ever happens, they are required to give you that number, and it's a 2-digit number. Just say, what operator are you? They're probably not going to give you a name, but they will give you their operator number. We can identify them by that, and then we can follow up with your complaint and take care of that.
Well, basically, I've lived here for 75 years, and I just want to live out my final days in peace.
You're not going anywhere, sir.
No, I'm
So,
not.
right.
Well, I'll
So-
tell you what. A couple of us guys, we got together and we decided that we'd like to see some of the old timers that we worked with alive. So we set up a breakfast over at Petros.
Mhm.
Well, after about 5 months, the guy says, we want to take a vote and move. They said, there's only 2 of you guys that live north of 30. So they took a vote and they said, we'll go out to Petros, build a pancake house out in Maryville. So we started going there, and now we're at Johnny's round the clock. Because they said, you know, there's just, everybody's leaving.
Well, I'm glad you're still here. And I'm definitely glad you voted now that you told me that story. So, thank you, sir. Thank you. I am getting gray hair. They took a side shot of me yesterday. I couldn't believe it. I looked like I aged 20 years. So, all right, Leanne.
Can we get no parking signs put up on Calumet between 121st and 119th? Student parking. It is a state highway, but we cannot reach out to INDOT.
No parking on 120, from 121st to 119th on Calumet.
Calumet between 100 and
I know that that's a... Stan? That would be problematic for for some of the businesses over there.
Yeah, up for grabs.
Up for grabs, that definitely
would be one that would get affected. But I think we already have limited parking there from 120 at so many feet north and so many feet south for sight distance. So we've got limited parking through that area.
Can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, who's the person that asked the question?
Right here.
Right there, Stan.
Yeah, about 6 years ago, I live on 120th between Stanton and Lake Avenue. I tracked down the, I guess, INDOT and actually talked to them numerous occasions, and through my efforts, those signs were put up because there were blind spots coming out of 120.
Right.
Okay? However, the Clark students are now parking on Calumet Avenue, and I realize it's a state highway. The city has nothing to do with it. But anybody coming north on Calumet Avenue by the 7-Eleven has to make a dramatic swerve.
On 121st?
Just north of 121st.
Yes, sir.
And it's an accident just waiting to happen one of these days. And in reality, the Clark students are supposed to be parking at the football field.
Yes, sir. There are. And we
And
went
of
through that
course,
fight.
There's probably maybe 4 or 5 cars out there. And again, prefacing my remarks, I understand it's a state highway, but I would think or hope that maybe through some effort from the city, that stretch of curbing could be a no parking area for everybody. The people that live on there park their cars in their garages and back.
Right.
And it's the Clark students that are parking there. So, it's just something that I...
No, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought this up. Keith?
Okay, I happen to agree with you on one point. The design, especially as distracted as people are nowadays, cell phones, and the way that roadway shifts, if you're not being 100% attentive, you're going to hit somebody. It literally is an accident waiting to happen out there, but the city's not at fault for that. And there should be more. It is my understanding that when that roadway was designed and constructed by INDOT, we were talking to them, our traffic division was, and there were some local businesses involved that wanted parking in front, and I believe the zoning is actually different than its sign. There should have been a yellow curb coming off of Calumet Avenue back so far, and that was left off by the construction company due to INDOT's interactions with local businesses because it would have curtailed parking there. However, the rules for the road were different than what the signage currently is. However, again, the city doesn't have control over that. So we do have to deal with INDOT. So if you'll forward that to me, I will have the traffic division contact INDOT. We do that regularly. We can talk about signage. We can talk about changing the restrictions over there. We can talk to the neighbors and make sure everybody does have a place to park. Because I would hate to say, let's put signs up, the state goes along with us, and then some people don't have garages. Okay, I can't sanction a guy for being a Clark student not parking there. Maybe the school can, but if he's in a legal parking zone and he's a Clark student, I can't ticket him for being a Clark student because the neighbor would rather he was not there. But I do agree with you, the roadway is a poor design, but we're stuck with that.
Dan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Actually, that roadway was kind of a compromise because originally the state wanted to pull all the parking and all the businesses along there got upset. So we actually sat down with the state and said, you need to try to preserve some of the parking. So that's how they came up with that design. So you've got turn lanes at various intersections that required the parking to come off, like over at 119th Street. So you do have to have that shift in there, and all those shifts by the design criteria, they all work. But in the real world, they don't seem to work all that great. But we can sit down with the state and we could talk to them, and maybe they need to look at some of that. Some of those signs maybe not be positioned well. Some of them really don't tell you no parking here to corner, which corner. They don't have any arrows on them. So we can, we've had requests because there's been people looking at purchasing up for grabs, and they're all concerned that there's such limited parking there.
It's a major problem with up for grabs.
Yeah.
Has been for years.
Yeah, they can't sell the place because of it.
They literally have 4 or 5 spots in the whole restaurant. 2 or 3, right?
Yeah. So we can talk to the state. Now that the weather's better, they can come out there and they can move signs around and take a look at some of that.
Sure.
I live right in that area too, and the striping is gone because of the bad weather. You can't see where you're supposed to turn into the next lane. But we live on the other side where 120th and Benjamin is, and that corner is very bad. The cars are parked almost to the end of, or the beginning of 120th Street. Well, I don't know who it is. There's other people living in those apartments. There's a business there, auto repair. And trying to pull out onto Calumet Avenue, it's very hard to see. So when they're doing that side of Calumet, take a look at our side too, because the problem is there also. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
I think we have one question right over here. Okay, well, we do have a comment. I would like to thank whomever demolished Phil Schmidt building. It was an eyesore. It was 2 years too late, but I want to thank our mayor for our new streets on the 1200 and 1300 blocks of Davis Avenue and our fluorescent streetlights.
The new streetlights are really nice, and that was done and chosen by the councilman, by the way. The councilman helps the engineering department a lot by choosing which streets we're going to do, and we cooperate with the councilman. So any street that was done and any lighting project that was done, Councilman Mark had 90% to do with it. I had 10% to do with it. And also, so thank you, Councilman Mark, for what you did over there. And the new lights, I can always talk about the Southeastern project with the new lights, the LED lights. Is that the proper term?
Yeah, that's the first major installation of LED lights in the city. Those are 80 watt light bulbs. They've got like about an 18-year life expectancy versus 3 years on the high pressure sodium. And a similar light level in high pressure sodium uses twice as much energy. So LED lights are the future. We've been experimenting with them for the last couple of years. Some of the early ones we're not real happy with, but some of the stuff coming out now is really nice. It's a much softer light, not so stark and blue. Like I think the ones we did on Davis Avenue were the first generation. But you're going to see most of the lights, I think, from this point on are going to all be LED. NIPSCO's even talking about converting their fixtures into LED fixtures so that they can offer us, hopefully, a better price.
NIPSCO CEO made $8 million last year.
Well, maybe it's more profit than for NIPSCO.
He should just give us a little fraction of his salary, and we could do a lot of streets in Hammond. That's a true story about his salary, by the way. You know, they're squeezing governments in Indiana right now, and the utility CEOs are making $8 million salaries. It's backwards what's going on in this state right now, but sorry about the editorial. So, it's funny. We owed NIPSCO money for a while, and the NIPSCO people came to us and said, "Hey, you owe us money." I said, "Well, how much do you owe us?" And they said, "You owe us this much." And I said, "That's like 3 months' salary for you CEO. What are you getting so fired up about?" They didn't like that answer. So, hi George, how's it going?
Fine, thank you. Is there something else going up where Phil Schmitz was? It looks like they're surveying and marking things off. Do you know?
Phil Schmidt's property is owned by a private entity, so it was demolished by the person that owns it.
It's NIPSCO, isn't it?
Well, no, the demolition, it's owned by George Loxus.
Okay.
So he actually performed the demolition on that, but he did sell a piece of property to NIPSCO for part of their project as well.
Something's going up now? You don't know?
No, I don't think he has any plans currently. I think he just wanted to take down the old building and get the property potentially shovel ready, just in case something does come along.
Thanks, George.
Mayor, can Stan real quick let the audience know what's going on Sheffield from 129 South, because the construction has started.
Sure. Oh, great. That's a great point. Thank you.
We started construction on the phase 3 of the, what's the name of that project?
The bike trail.
Yeah, but it's got a specific name. Mark, do you remember? Marquette Greenway. Marquette Greenway phase 3. That's a segment that's gonna. This is first of 2 segments that are going to finally connect the north end of the city to the south end. After they finish building this, we're going to start on a segment in front of it's going to be on Calumet Avenue, across the street from the bank over there, like 142nd Street, and it's going to go down the NIPSCO right-of-way all the way down to the Grand Cal River, and then tie into a bike trail at that location. So then you'll be able to get, not in an exact straight route, but you will be able to get from the north end of town to the south end. That's going to get
without being on Calumet or being on Sheffield.
Without being on any major streets, other than having to cross some of them. But every place you cross, there's going to be an activated signal. Now the work on Sheffield, we're going to actually make Sheffield into a 3-lane section, and the bike trail is going to be totally isolated on the east side of the street. So they've started taking out some of the pavement. We're going to have a center turn lane and then 2 through lanes. We've done the traffic studies. The volume meets that meets that type of design. It'll kind of match better with the feed into the south end of Wolf Lake Park. So from a functional standpoint, we're going to have a really safe bike trail. Hammond's bike trail system's excellent. You know, you could let your kids use it because you're not on busy streets like some of the bike trails over in Illinois and Chicago. Chicago's spending money putting up ghost bicyclists for all the people that have been killed on their bike system, because they're trying to share streets and bike trails in the same area, and it just doesn't work well. There's too many people driving around texting on their phones and not paying attention. So we're developing a very safe bike trail system. 98% of it won't be on streets. It's going to be dedicated.
Don't you have to have, with, I forgot what they call the program through the federal government, but it mandates, safe streets, isn't that what they call it? Where it
Yeah,
mandates,
Safe Streets
right.
requires that all future streets that are built with federal dollars have areas for automobiles, bicyclists, and for walkers.
And you're
they
seeing
must
in
be
the-
fully handicap accessible.
So you're seeing in places like Chicago, they would have a 2-lane street, and they would have to dedicate part of that 2-lane street just to a bicycle, and the bicyclists are literally sharing lanes with the cars. We're lucky in Hammond, so we're segregating that away from Sheffield, so that if somebody is texting and driving, which unfortunately happens way too much, and they swerve over, at least they'll hit a curb before they hit you. So, yes, sir.
They took the sidewalk out over there. Are they gonna put that sidewalk back in?
Where?
From 129th all the way, from 129th all the way to North Hammond.
Well, most of that's gonna be replaced by the new bike trail.
So is it just gonna be one wide street?
It's gonna be one wider trail.
But
It's
the
gonna be
street
about-
itself is not going to be 4 lanes like it is now. It'll be 3 lanes with a turn lane in the middle. 1 lane in each direction with a turn lane if you have to get over. Right?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what he was talking about. So we're using so it's a 4 lane right now. We're getting rid of 1 lane. We're extending the bike trail out, putting a curb between the traffic and the bike lane, okay? And then we're going to take the 3 lanes and make the center turn lane and 1 lane going in each direction, which may cut down on a lot of the speed that we see over there, a lot of the truck traffic that we see over there. So that is going on right now. So, all right, Leanne.
Okay, this is a comment and...
By the way, before you get into this, that stretch, as a cyclist, is the most dangerous stretch in the city of Hammond. The stretch from downtown Hammond to 129th Street. You're taking your life in your hands. And this is going to get about half of that off the street. You know, we still have to stand as stand indicator. We're trying to use NIPSCO right-of-ways to get us to the Grand Cal so that you could literally safely travel from the Grand Calumet to 129th, which is quite frankly where most of the city wants to be. You guys live up here. The rest of the city wants to be up here. You know, like me as a cyclist, I have a couple options. I could go south or I can go north. Why wouldn't I go north? You got these beautiful trails up here. We connect into the Whiting Trail system and you can go for miles safely. It's just downtown to 129th. That's the stretch. Okay.
Okay, this is a comment and a question, I believe, for code enforcement. The comment is there are 2 dangerous intersections, Lake and 116th. It's an accident waiting to happen. The second question is, can anything be done about siting, landscaping trailers, or lawnmowers for blowing grass into the streets?
Okay, let's go Lake and 116th first. Dan, could you take that? Dangerous intersection.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what this is because you got 116th Lake and Indianapolis Boulevard, all of them meet at the same point, and the signal system there is set up so that each side traffic is sensed and the signal changes based on traffic need. Now we have had some vandalism out there over the last month and a half. Somebody's been out there messing with the wiring, messing with the pedestrian access buttons, but there's not a lot of accidents at that intersection. I drive through it every day.
What I'm referring to is, say if you come across Lake Street, and you want to go straight across the boulevard to Lake Street, if there's cars parked there, it is so narrow there, if there's a car waiting to go, and you're trying to turn that corner, if there's a car there, you practically sideswipe that car. It's just too narrow. That's my point.
She's talking about the south leg of the intersection. When that was built within a limited right-of-way. That's not the same width of right-of-way as it is north of there. So the thing is kind of narrow, but it is wide enough 2 cars can pass. Sometimes people park just a bit too close to the corner there, and it does make it hard if you're in a larger vehicle or a small panel truck.
Okay.
We could make that corner yellow back 20 or 25 feet, but then we'll probably get somebody living there complaining that there's not enough parking.
Right. Attorney Cantor, there was a question about, I think this is about landscaping. It sounds like this individual may live next door to like somebody that owns a company and parks their trailer or...
Well, nobody's allowed to put any grass clippings, snow, rocks, or anything into the street.
Right.
So if somebody's observed doing this, I mean, there's always going to be some incidental grass.
Right.
But if there is a substantial amount of grass being placed into any public right-of-way by any individual, just please get a picture of it, send it 311, get the license plate, and we'll issue them a citation, and we'll bill them for the cost of cleanup if there is one. Because we don't need all that stuff getting into the storm sewers that clogs it up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the car, like they put the lawnmowers under the car, and then they take off, and it blows all over the place.
All the way down the street.
Right. Same type of situation, right? All right. Thank you, man.
We do have one last question from a Pop Warner student, actually.
All right.
And it's a really great question.
Well, it's one of the super smart Pop Warner students, too, right?
I know. That's a great question.
Great. I've had 2 days of hard questions in a row if I look a little weary. So.
Is there still a problem with the trees at Pulaski Park?
Good question. Let me see that Pop Warner student. Stand up, dude. Do you remember what happened? Do you remember why we had to chop all those trees down, buddy?
There was an infestation.
There was, man, this is a smart kid. Yeah, it's called the emerald ash borer. It infested over 100 trees in Pulaski Park. We had to chop them all down. Once the emerald ash borer gets into the tree, it eats the tree from the inside out. So even though on the outside the tree looks like it's still alive, if you chop the tree down and you look at the inside of the tree, it's totally hollowed out. The bugs just live in there and they eat the inside of the tree and they kill it. The way we find it is because it stops growing leaves and the tree dies. It looks like it's good, but it's really dangerous because the tree could be 100 feet tall like they were in Pulaski Park and completely hollowed out so that if we have a storm, they start to fall, right? So what we had to do is we found all of those trees that were dead in Pulaski Park, and it was sad because Pulaski Park is beautiful with beautiful old trees, and we had to chop a bunch of them down. We did that last year. Donna, do you want to update us? Donna Muta is the head of the Cabot Parks Department. Why don't you go ahead, and then I'll pass it to Mark next. Or Mark, do you want to jump in first?
Either way.
Okay. Donna, go ahead.
Councilman probably should answer because I gave him about 125 trees and he went out there with some help of the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association and planted all of them.
Okay. Councilman?
Well, there have been a number of efforts since the trees came down. We had ordered a couple dozen trees from Meyer, and they're red maple, yellow maple, and orange maple, and they're to be planted shortly. We have some seedling oaks that we planted a couple years back. Out of about 100 of those, there's still maybe 20 that are growing, and they're 3 or 4 feet high, but they seem to have taken. Just recently, we received a packet of another 100 or so seedlings through Donna and Parks Department, and Lakeshore Landscaping was good enough to provide some help on this past rainy Saturday, and Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association volunteers and myself were out there. And when Pop Warner goes back out there again, they're going to see rows of seedling trees that have been planted, and they have black cones around them with orange tape on the top of those cones, and we're going to stake the trees too to see if we can get out of that 100 a good portion of them to come back next year and to continue and thrive while the city pursues a grant, I think, for something like $50,000 to get more trees into the Pulaski Park forested area that doesn't look so forested right now. So there's a number of ways that we're trying to get trees back in there, and the last way is the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association did a drive where they matched donations dollar for dollar up to, I believe, $5,000 or so, and now they have a certain amount of dollars ready to acquire trees for the park as well.
You know, Councilman Mark is very modest. One of the things he also does in Pulaski Park, and we don't think about it now because it's warm out, he was the man of the ice this year. Literally took ownership of the ice skating rink in Pulaski Park. I'm not an ice skating guy. He took me out there one day, though. It was real cold, and he was out there literally all day long, maintaining the ice to perfection. So he takes a lot of pride in Pulaski Park, and I know this young man plays football in Pulaski Park. That's why he's asking this question, right? And I tell you what, it's important to us. It was sad that we had to chop down all those trees, but it's important. So they are replanted, and when you're 40 or 45 years old, hopefully they'll be about the same size they were before we had to chop them down. But the good news is we did get them back in the ground. Okay, buddy? Awesome question. Okay.
I'd like to thank the city for letting us use the park to practice.
Thank you. That's outstanding. What position? Okay, you're 34, so you're probably a fullback, right?
Defensive end and center.
So you're the tough kid, huh? Awesome. So tough kid, center on offense, defensive end on defense. You're one of the tough guys and smart. So looking forward to your NFL signature when you make it, buddy. This was a tough Mayor's Night Out tonight, by the way. I want to thank everybody for the questions at Mayor's Night Out. The first district's always a really, a very active and involved district. I appreciate everything you do. I know I don't have to tell you this, but Election Day is on Tuesday. Whatever you do, if you vote against me, if you vote for me, please get out and vote. There are important races on the ballot. There's a race in the 1st district. There's a race in the 2nd district. There's a race in the 3rd district. There's a race in the 6th district. There's 5 at-larges running for 3 spots, and there's a race in the mayor's race. So we have important races that need your input. And a lot of people criticize city government. A lot of people have great recommendations. It takes 5 minutes to vote, not even 5 minutes. So please go out. Early voting is taking place as we speak. You can go to Russell Street. You can go to Wicker Park. You can go to basically any county government building and vote right now. And it literally takes 2 minutes. Once you get in there, you fill out a piece of paper and you vote. So whatever you do, Hammond's numbers need to be better in voting. And I know that not all, a lot of people think, oh, I'm not going to worry about this person or that person. They got it made. No, get out there and vote. So let's get Hammond's numbers back up there where they're supposed to be. We're the largest city in Lake County, and when it comes to voting, we're not the largest city, and that needs to change. So please get out and vote. I say, don't go out on Election Day. Vote before Election Day. But whatever you do, if you don't get out and early vote, make sure you get out on Election Day and vote. Okay? Anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Anything pertinent? Sharon? What's that? Oh, voting is open late tomorrow till 7. Thank you. And Saturday. Thank you. Don't forget about the blood drive. We're all focused on the election, obviously. I want to beat Hobart. We're twice as big as them. It would be super embarrassing for me. I'd have to listen to Mayor Snedeker brag all the time. So please go out. Nancy was a wonderful person. We miss her very much, and this is going to literally save lives. So,
I'd like to make one comment. I'm surprised nobody asked any questions about the Indianapolis Boulevard project. We've been bumping along down that center section.
Thanks for bringing up the sore spots, Stan.
Well, no, but actually we've got good news.
All right.
The project's going to be done before the 4th of July, so as not to interfere with the 4th of July parade. And it's a big cooperative project. It's a $9 million investment, $6 million from the state, $2.25 million from Whiting, and $750,000 from Hammond to actually reconstruct that roadway and then make it look like it's supposed to. So that'll be done in time so that everybody could march on it this year without a bunch of potholes.
Okay. Thank you, Stan. Is there any other issues we want to bring up from the department heads? You guys want to get out of here, I can tell. All right, you guys all good? Everybody got it? Leanne?
Just real quick, I know you mentioned the blood drive. So if anyone is interested in signing up, the sheet is back there. So if you want to put down your name and information, we can register you. Again, it's going to be on May 12th at the Gene Shepherd Center from 1 to 7.
Okay.
Donations for the kids, Mayor.
It is.
Oh, okay. Donations for the kids, football team.
Yeah.
Send them. Right. They need donations
Oh,
for their
gosh,
trip.
I'm sorry.
That's
I didn't know what
okay.
you were talking about.
Yes, North Lake Pop Warner. There are papers back there for a GoFundMe page. So if anyone would like to donate so that they can go on their trip to San Diego, that would be great.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for Mayor's Night Out in the First District. Next Mayor's Night Out is, next Mayor's Night Out scheduled for Wednesday, May 27th at Purdue University Calumet Gym. Also, I want to remind everybody, Cinco de Mayo event is taking place in Hammond on Dos de Mayo, okay? So it's Dos de Mayo technically, but we're holding it this Saturday, Hammond Civic Center, 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Don't forget to be there.